He's Tony. I'm Mike. This is week 3 of the Action Ball!
All right, so week 3 of the Action Bowl kicks off with Steve McQueen drawing The Great Escape, is going up against Michelle Yeoh, who drew The Magnificent Warriors, also known as the Dynamite Fighters, depending on where you at. But we watched the version that was on the Criterion channel because, I don't know, it just felt like the thing to do at the time.
We like to read. I did a lot of reading this week with all the movies we had to watch. But that's neither here nor there.
Who do you want to talk about?
Since we're already on the Magnificent Warriors, let's talk about them.
Okay, so last week, Harrison Ford delivered a crippling blow to The Rock with Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Michelle Yeoh tried to pull the same thing off with this one.
Call me sometime.
This is very obviously a China-flavored take on Raiders of the Lost Ark, set in, I'm assuming that this is set somewhere in the middle of World War II, because I know that the Japanese invaded and they set up the state of Manchukuo during World War II, and that they were basically trying to get local officials to, be puppets of the Japanese imperial government at the time, and this deals really heavily with it, and that aspect of this story, I really enjoyed that.
You wish to see me?
Indeed I did. I was wondering if you'd made a final decision about your donation to help further the interests of Japan.
I like how they tied it all in.
Here's the funny thing about this story is that, yet again, we have people trying to develop a deadly gas to use on people.
This is gas. Don't be afraid. I'll give you a chance. If you can hold your breath for at least 5 seconds, you can go.
It's an Action Bowl staple.
At least this season.
That all being said, this movie's very uneven. It has so many tonal switches in it that the action sequences are spectacular. The fight scenes are great.
Yes.
Michelle Yeoh's character is delightful, and I really enjoy her character.
Your wrist. Oh, you're gonna suffer now.
Grandpa, are you okay?
I'm fine.
And even getting to see the city official who's kind of a worm and is easily manipulated and doesn't know which way to go, but ultimately decides that he wants to try to take care of his people in his town, because that's what he's really concerned about, is the survival of his city. I get all that, but when this veers into like that cheesy humor, especially when it's an action sequence that's kind of supposed to be funny, that's when this movie loses me.
You stay out of this!
See, it kind of loses me because it can't decide what it wants to be. It can't decide if it wants to be funny, silly, slapstick, or that it wants to be serious. You can't have it both ways. You gotta somehow try to ride that line. And I agree with you. This is where this movie fails, is in that department. Because like you said, the action is great. That character has an arc to him.
It's a good-looking movie, too.
Yeah, well, not only that, even the bad guy at the end, at the very, very last second, has a change of heart. So even he has an arc in it. So there's a lot of things that are well done. But yeah, I think the uneven tone really kneecaps this thing.
Yes, that is the perfect way to put it, because the biggest problem, because of the tonal shifts, all of this stuff that should be impactful, loses its impact. And Going back to Raiders again. Raiders proves that you can have funny, dark comedy moments in an action film that actually inform the action and the characters and the story. This movie, it feels like they wrote comedy. It feels like they hired comedy writers from like a kid's Saturday morning cartoon. That's literally how slapsticky and cheesy.
1, 2.
I think that's
It
just
is.
that's just kind of Chinese cinema in a way, because like even like this isn't a recent movie, but like Kung Fu Hustle, you know, has a very cartoon Looney Tunes feel to it.
Yeah.
And even we're gonna be reviewing here coming soon.
Drunken Tai Chi.
Yeah, Drunken Tai Chi has that same feel as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's just their brand of humor, and it just
doesn't translate
Yeah.
well to here.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, but seeing as I can only judge this from the audience, you know, from this side of the ocean, I just know that this is one of those films that like potentially somebody decided to do a serious, straightforward remake of this. This could be great. It could be epic. Like legitimately, again, the big open vistas and the cities and even the airplane stuff. You know, the old 1930s airplanes that are flying around. I loved all of that. I love the fact that her plane was a piece of shit. And she lands and she has to put the fire out on it. And she's just kind of like, yeah. Those moments.
well, she did just get done fighting against a Mitsubishi Zero, so there's that.
Hi.
Which that should not have happened. I don't care how good of a pilot you are, and B, I think you can probably confirm this. Like there was no chance in hell. Like even if it's a shitty pilot behind that Zero, Michelle Yeoh should not have won that air duel.
At this point in time, no.
Yeah.
The Chinese had very poor pilots at the time because they had basically no one backing them. And they had to build an air force with, I think, Soviet planes that were not translated to Chinese at all, so they had to deal with Cyrillic. The Japanese knew exactly what they were doing. The Chinese, infamously, every air battle they had was pretty much a complete catastrophic failure.
So there you go.
So, yeah, I mean, this movie has massive potential.
Yeah.
And Michelle Yeoh is delightful.
Yeah.
You just in time to rescue it.
Knew it. Now we're even, right?
The character, she's really likable. She's really fun to watch. Some of those stunt sequences are great.
really good.
When she goes into the town at the beginning of that, and after they have the gun deal that went bad, and they shoot the guy that... She's riding the wagon into town, and he's like, oh yeah, they're gonna pay me all this money, and then I'll pay you. And then when they're testing the goods, they shoot his ass.
You open it, put the bullet in, and you hold it and lock it. Try it again. Gotcha. Hey!
And then she's got to fight her way out of town. I loved that bit. I was like really buckling in for that one. I thought, if this is where we're going, this is going to be a shit ton of fun.
Yeah.
But again, it's just that those tonal switch just really unsold this film to me.
I really enjoyed the characters in this one. Because, like I said, the one guy has an arc, but even everybody in here has a little bit of something for them. Like even their scoundrel sidekick buddy, which I don't remember his name, but it was very fun and entertaining to watch. I love it, like when he would pop out shit out of the ground, and his traps and stuff like that were really cool.
Gotcha.
The male intelligence agent?
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
But the other female lead in this one, I forgot what relation she is to the ruler of that province. Or
I think
country.
she's supposed to be getting married to him, so.
There's a girl looking for you.
I know.
How do you know?
Well, I thought it was you.
You finally noticed me.
It's just really weird because they call each other like brother and sister, and I'm sure they're not actually brothers and sisters. It's just like a weird vernacular thing.
I was
going to
say it could also be that her family married into his house, and therefore it's brother or sister, but they're in-laws more or less. But
I like their relationship. I like their dynamic together. They're very cute together, playing off each other.
Yeah.
And I think if you're watching this review, you're probably thinking like, we hate this movie.
No,
I do not hate this
no,
movie.
I
really enjoyed it. Yeah, quite a bit.
I wanted to love it, but it just couldn't close the deal for me. That's what this boils down to for me. So that all being said, let's cut to the chase and get to the numbers.
Okay, I'll be honest with you, I forgot we even scored this thing. Pretty much what I thought. So a plot's a 6. There's a good story here. Some things drag on too long. And that's one thing that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, pacing is a big issue with several parts of this.
Yeah. So it's a 6. Style is a 6. All the fight choreography is great. All the action scenes are great. They just kind of go on a little bit too long.
Yes, it's indulgent.
Yes,
so.
yeah, very much indulgent. But still, above average, it's a 6. Entertainment is a 6. for every reason that we just stated. Wanted to love it. Just couldn't because of the few little issues here.
Yeah.
I mean, with a few tweaks, this could easily be instead of an 18, which I'm scoring it could have been a 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
Just a few changes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, legitimately, you could probably take this film and just edit it.
Yep.
And get to something that I think is more accessible for a Western audience. But that all being said, for the plot, I gave it a 5.
Okay.
It's there could have been more depth. Is it interesting? Yes, but again, it's the fact that they don't know when to, stay serious. They don't know when to end a scene. That all kinds of works against it. For the style, I gave it a 6. The fight sequences are a ton of fun. The action sequences, the plot itself, it's there for a reason. It actually does kind of work. But at the end of the day, the failings of this, we talked about quite a bit. For the entertainment, I gave it a 3.
That's harsh.
It is hard. It is harsh.
That's way harsh.
But
I think it's a little unfair.
Maybe a bit. But at the end of the day, I gave it a 14. It's just, like I said, overall, when I look back, there's a lot to talk about on this movie, but I didn't enjoy it. I wouldn't throw this on again. Now, if somebody
I don't blame you there.
Yeah, and that's really, for me, the guiding light for why I scored this a 3 on entertainment.
Fair enough.
If someone was watching it and I walked into the room, I'd be all right, I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee and then disappear for an hour and a half.
Fair enough. All right, well, I guess coming up next, we'll have Steve McQueen and The Great Escape.
Stay tuned. So going with our legacy heroes, that are something new that we've added for season 3, Steve McQueen shows up and just throws that shit on the table with The Great Escape.
All American officers so ill-mannered.
About 99%.
So it's been a hot minute since I've seen this. So long, as a matter of fact, that it's practically like watching all over again. The story here is very, very good. Characters are very well developed. All that is great. Where this fails for me, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of skipping to the end on this one, is the end.
Hey! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
That last hour is unfucking necessary. I'll need every fucking goddamn detail of everybody's escape and how they get round up or shot at the end. It really killed what could have been a great movie. Like this could have been Indiana Jones scores.
I'm gonna say that this is a great movie, but the cast is so big, and they try to focus on keeping so much accuracy, and I'm not faulting them for that, but I mean, we're following so many characters. I mean, Richard Attenborough is in this, and the Rockford Files, James Garner is in this, and I mean, you recognize all these people. They're all stars in their own rights, but it, rather than it coming off as like this big complex plan, it almost feels like a how-to guide at certain parts of it.
Maps, blankets, rations, compasses for all the walkers, and timetables for every train.
Right, Roger.
And I appreciate the depth that it brought to the film, but for me, it's exactly the opposite. The action in this film doesn't really start until that last hour when they're all on the run and they all do either get killed or rounded up.
Zeig mir mal deinen Ausweis.
But that's not the point of the story. The point is the escape. That's why it's called The Great Escape.
Yeah, but it's interesting to actually see them put it out there like that. Like, these men are yes, they were all caught or captured or killed or whatever. That doesn't make these men any less heroic.
No.
Because it was not about the end result. It was about the fact that they did all this right under the nose of the Germans.
That is my point exactly. So once they got out, you could have had, you know, a quick little title card. Here's what happened to these people. Most of them got rounded up. Most of them got shot and all that shit. The richness and the depth of everything from that first 2 hours is where this movie shines.
Yeah.
And where all the greatness comes from. And I think they handled that large cast very well, because you get some good in-depth knowledge of these people, all except for the two guys that do the planning. The one guy that escaped, like, I don't know how many times, and the guy threatens at the beginning.
What,
Do you
Steve
escape-
McQueen? Steve
No, not
McQueen's
Steve
character,
McQueen.
or-
No, not Steve McQueen. The
mole?
British guy,
The mole?
I guess.
I think, yeah, the shorter guy that escapes
Yeah.
with him the first time they're put in the cooler and they get out
No,
together.
no, not that guy. That guy. The British agent at the very beginning, where the guy's like, "Hey, if you get caught again, we're going to kill you this time."
Squadron Leader Bartlett, if you escape again and be caught, you will be shot.
We're not going to hold you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's like tried to escape like 17 times and they're just sick of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy from Orca.
Oh, Richard Harris?
Yes, those two, that pairing.
Yeah. So
those are the only people you really don't get a whole real sense of who they are, except for like the brains of the operation.
Yeah,
You know, the ones that kind of the project managers of the whole thing. And that guy pissed me off. Not Richard Harris, but the other guy, because that fucking D-bag, like, abandons his thing, his spot, because he was helping those guys escape, you know, tugging the ropes. Okay, it's good to go. It's good to go. They leave, so then it's up to the other idiots who have nobody there to really direct them.
Yeah.
Roger, you and I had better get out of here. We won't have a chance of any of the trains. It's moving. We'll just have to pass the instructions from man to man.
Yeah.
And so they get caught because of they bailed on them.
I don't disagree with you on that one. That seemed like a short-sighted leadership step of, hey, me first. You know, you guys are screwed anyway, so I'm getting out while the getting's good.
And you know what? I cheered when he died. Fuck that guy.
Herr Bartlett and Herr MacDonald, you are going to wish you had never put us to so much trouble.
Donald Pleasant's character was spectacularly good.
Which one's the forgery?
That one.
That's right.
They both are.
And I love the fact that there was details they could have skipped, because it is the Great Escape. But the fact that they actually bothered to show you how they were able to put together civilian wardrobe from the uniforms that they had, or what they were using to dye the fabric, so that they didn't get out and automatically like stick out like a sore thumb.
And here's one that I dyed with a bottle of blue ink.
I love that. I also love the detail of how Donald Pleasance was able to forge the documents and how they were able to get the camera, and all that informing, the greater thing, that not everybody was like down there digging or planning or this or that. So some
James
people did.
Garner's character is great
Yes.
in this, how he is able to acquire this stuff. Grab the documents so what's his name can forge them.
Yeah.
Come up with ways to source the other raw materials like the wood and shit like that, so they could brace the tunnel and all that stuff. It's so well done.
Say, Cavendish. Birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear. Alley, pop!
I mean, again, if this movie just had those first 2 hours and a brief little synopsis of what happened to these guys at the end, would have really helped.
I was going to say, I enjoyed the last hour. I enjoyed following them through it. Because again, it was a failed attempt for most of them. Charles Bronson got away, and the guy that he was in the robot with, and I love the fact that they actually rode their asses to freedom.
Yeah. And then they're so efficient because during the first 2 hours, they established that Charles Bronson is claustrophobic.
Yes. Yeah.
And they do a great job of that. Like even at the end when they're trying to escape, he has that freak out. His buddy comes out and helps him. Hey man, we're there. We're right there. You just got to get in there and just go.
Danny, if you don't go through that tunnel, everything you've done will have been for nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. So this is most definitely, it's a huge character study. It's a big movie. It's a classic for a reason. So I'm curious. I want to know how much, because we both agree on the first 2 hours of this film. It's the last 50 minutes where you and I part ways. So I want to know what your scores are on this one.
The plot's an 8. Easy. It's an easy 8. There's so much detail here, and there's so much development from the characters. I mean, to score anything less would be a crime. Style's a 7. They don't really break any ground with this. It's...
Well, not in 2024. Yeah. And when this came out, I'm sure that it was usually groundbreaking, but
there's nothing here that you didn't see in any other movie at this time frame. So it's actually that 7 is kind of slightly generous. The entertainment is a 6. It could have been an 8. It could have been a 9. But that last hour kneecaps the fuck out of this movie. So it's a 21.
Oh well. I'm just going to say that as much as we sound like we disagree, it's not by that much. For the plot, I gave it an 8, because you're absolutely right. With the number of characters that they had to deal with, and the fact that you had to differentiate them all, and do it all in a script that clocks in at 2 hours and 50 minutes or 40 minutes, something like that, and they managed to do it. And none of them felt muddied. They all kept their own unique personalities throughout it.
And they did it in 2 hours, actually.
Yeah.
They did all the development in 2 hours.
And so, 8.
That's some John Borman fucking shit there.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's very reminiscent of how John Borman would have handled this. For the style, I gave it a 7. It's a good-looking movie. It's well shot. It's well assembled. And again, all those details as to how they got their civilian clothes and how they got their passports and their papers and all that. I loved every bit of that. And a lot of escape movies would have focused more on the action. The fact that they took the time to appreciate the intellectual side of the escape, I really dug that about it. And for the entertainment, I gave it a 7.
Yeah, so we're right there.
So my score on this one is a 22.
I'm actually shocked you didn't score that higher. Really, I was expecting you to give this probably more like a 25 or 26.
Again, you know what? I'm gonna say that I think for me the biggest issue was this was a Steve McQueen film, and you see all over the poster on that one. But Steve McQueen has spent so much time being locked up in the cooler that he's not really in it all that much.
No, he isn't.
The other thing was that there was some oddball casting because they had. Oh damn it! What is his name? We just saw him in Looker. He was
Coburn.
Coburn. Yeah, they had James Coburn as an Australian. And James Coburn is about as Australian as I am. So that little bit of casting just didn't quite work for me. But is there anything that you could really cut out of this film?
Yes.
You say yes. I say
Easy.
It tells the story it set out to tell. The biggest issue is the length of it. And with it being coming at 3 hours, it's like literally you need an intermission in the middle of this. So that's why I didn't go higher than this. So coming up next, our scores and who's moving on and who's heading into the Action Bowl of Shame. Stay tuned. So week 3 of the Action Bowl, Steve McQueen, The Great Escape. You scored it a 21. I scored it a 22, so that gives us an average score of 21.5. And then for Michelle Yeoh, The Magnificent Warriors, you scored it an 18. I scored it a 14, so that gives us an average score of 16. So, Michelle Yeoh?
I mean, I got nothing witty to say here. It's kind of a shame. But I guess what we'll have to do is just review some of our other films and our quick and dirties.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm totally down for that. Nothing, mad respect. This is like watching Angelina Jolie go out in season 2. I wanted to love this film. I know that there's better stuff in her catalog. This was actually just one of those mediocre films, but I guess it's time for us to say sayonara.
That's Japanese, not Chinese.
Oh, my bad. So. Well, then you give her the zinger.
Again, I'll have one. Bye-bye.
So Steve McQueen moves on to the second round of the Action Bowl. Michelle Yeoh, Action Bowl of Shame, but we will be talking about her again. We write the rules. We're going to do what we feel like. Our drawing for next week, Pam Grier versus Donnie Yen. Coming up next, stay tuned. Matchup for week 4 of the Action Bowl is Pam Grier going up against Donnie Yen. I will be drawing for Pam Grier. Mike will be drawing for Donnie Yen.
Now, I have no clue what Donnie Yen has in his catalog other than what we read off, and I've forgotten already. So here we go. And Donnie Yen will be represented by Drunken Tai Chi. Again, I have no idea about his catalog. Do you know anything about this movie?
Nothing. I know that it's in his catalog. I know Donnie Yen's in it. That's what I got for you. It could be a complete surprise. It could be completely delightful. It'd be completely amazing. We'll find out.
Yeah, we sure will. All right. Miss Pam Grier. What's we got going on here?
All right, Pam Grier. Original Gangsters.
Now, is that a newer Pam Grier flick?
It is a newer one, if I'm not mistaken. This is her and Fred Ward and a bunch of the old exploitation cinema old-timers getting together for one last action flick sort of thing. I don't know how this one's going to go now. I mean, I really thought like pretty much anything we drew out of Pam Grier's jar was going to, guarantee her to move on just because, they're always fun and cheeky and the exploitation, but this one being a newer film and it being a geezer teaser, I don't know how this is going to go. It could be perfectly entertaining. It could be perfect shit. I don't know.
I don't know either. I have no way of predicting how this one's going to play out this round. No idea.
But that's exactly why we do the Action Bowl. We watch the films that no one's heard
Week 4, we have Pam Grier and the Original Gangsters going up against Donnie Yen and Drunken Tai Chi.
We will see you next week.